Marky D, the new face of YouTube.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Marky D. It's Brother Peace in for the Friday review of Impact Wrestling. Now, some of you have said that I am too depressed and unenthusiastic. Well, duly noted, I'm going to do my best to enthusiastically review Impact Wrestling going forwards. I've slipped myself some crack into my coffee, so that's a good start. Now, one person in particular did actually comment that I should go see a psychiatrist. How ridiculous. What do you make of that, Brother Peace? Yeah, that really is ridiculous. As someone noted in a reply, watching and reviewing Impact Wrestling can be a depressing task. Now, if I went to a psychiatrist and I explained that was my reason for being depressed, who knows what they'd give me, what drugs they'd give me, and who knows which institution I might end up in. Yes, indeed. Some people also were quite vociferous about the fact that we were bullying wrestlers. Someone in particular actually commented, "Go after wrestling bios again, and they'll unsub." Yeah, some of you little bitches just way too oversensitive. Please, take the bloody tampons from between your legs and stop taking these videos and life so seriously. Oh, strongly worded, but, well, the point stands that we're just trying to have some fun here. We're not really trying to target anyone. Wrestling Bios, what do you make of this?
Hi everyone, it's Wrestling Bios here, and just to set the record straight that I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with being featured on this channel. In fact, it is an honor to be featured on this channel. In fact, I'm going to have Marky D and Brother Peace featured in one of my upcoming videos on my channel. And I'm going to highly recommend that you sub to the Marky D channel. Much love to the both of yous.
Oh, see, there you have it. Let's crack on with this review. The show begins with a recap of last week when Sami Callaghan and Ken Shamrock goaded Eddie Edwards into an ambush by imprisoning his wife. Then we get a recap of the Good Brothers debuting on AEW and hitting the Magic Killer. I still call it the Viva la Resistance. The opening match sees Taya Valkyrie earmuffs lady versus Kimberly in a match that's designed to G up the Knockouts Championship match Taya Valkyrie has with Deonna Purrazzo at Hard to Kill. It's not a great match, it's not bad. Look at that kick, the state of it. Do you for a second believe that that kick is intended to hit her in the face? It's not as bad as last week when that woman couldn't even hit the ropes and I got so annoyed by it I couldn't even be bothered to edit the clips properly. So Susan comes out and she's now on the side of Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly as she attacks Rosemary. Kimberly manages to get a folding press pinfall victory from it. There's then another dreadful fake ad Tony Khan promo. Many of you agreed with how awful and how awkward he is. One person pointed out how unnatural and stiff his folded arms are. But some of you shamefully continue to defend this. One person in particular said, "It's by design that he comes across as a complete penis." No, I don't accept that. Simon Dean came across as a complete penis also, but he was entertaining. This, I just can't see any point in, other than it gives me something to rag on, I suppose. It's so amateur. It distracts from one of the intentions to promote the cards also on AEW's dumb show. Speaking of which, Shove It Squad, do you want to see me review an AEW episode? Marky D and I have actually spoken about doing a collab on an AEW episode. We should totally go through with this. He can keep my enthusiasm elevated, and I can keep him from drinking to excess. There's a promo for the Barbed Wire Massacre match at Hard to Kill before we move on to Tommy Dreamer taking on the ferocious frowner Dina. Tommy Dreamer gets the boot up on a frowning fist drop attempt. The plot convenience causes Cody Deaner to spill to the outside from it. Much like last week, Cousin Jake is trying to talk sense to Dina, but Dina is a frowning fanatic in this cult and slaps Cousin Jake repeatedly, causing Cousin Jake to trip him on the apron's edge. The match is thrown out, we have a big schmoz to G up the six-man tag that's going to take place at Hard to Kill. The frowning man, Joe Doering, comes out, Rhino punches him but doesn't even knock his cowboy hat off. Joe Doering takes him out with a clothesline and then roars with frowning power.
Have you ever seen Rhino go down from a clothesline?
Next up, we've got Raiju and Chris Bay tagging up against Manic and Suicide. Josh Matthews says the most idiotic thing during Manic and Suicide's entrance, something about a dream team of superheroes and a video game character merging. I just muted the volume. I figured, sod it, let's just watch this in silence, mitigate my misery. Manic and Suicide started with some decent tandem stuff. Manic should have decked Rajit at this point before Suicide got him up on his shoulders, but never mind, that's a nitpick. At some point, Rajit, Raiju and Chris Bay take control by... Okay, so Rajit, Raiju grabbed hold of Manic while Suicide and Manic attempted their Spider-Man thingies. Normally, TJP would get out the way of this and the opponent would fall to the outside, but Rajit, Raiju wisely held on to Manic so he was not able to get out the way, enabling Chris Bay to successfully dropkick him. This really could have done with an action replay in slow motion with the commentary team explaining and putting over the strategy and thinking on their feet. Manic and Suicide get a couple of stereo planches in. At some point Rajit, Raiju and Chris Bay are able to isolate Suicide. They beat down on him. Rajit, Raiju gets in his swinging neck breaker. And then... Sorry, I had this longer than I thought. Hot tag is made. Manic comes in with a crossbody, hits double knees to the corner, then does the fireman's carry into his kick to the face thing. Anyone want to comment the name of that move? Be much appreciated. Rajit, Raiju headbutts his way out of a double arm underhook, hits a jumping knee to Manic. Suicide gets him for something, but Chris Bay hits the finesse Oz cutter for the victory. A fair match. These guys are good. Book these guys more, put these guys on Impact Wrestling more, build it more around them instead of having 2 women's matches a show. I'm not really feeling this whole Manic and Suicide thing. I don't care who's who or what stuff TJP's up to. I don't really care for the Manic and Suicide gimmicks. Suicide looks like a knockoff VR Troopers, a knackered VR Troopers character. Hopefully when it's all unveiled we can focus on TJP, Chris Bay, Rajit, Raiju and whoever this other guy is. Get to their motivations as to each one's personality and as to why they each want to win the X Division title. I'd rather see that than see this who is under the mask, but that's just me. There's a backstage hype up for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships final. Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz shine in it, and then a match is signed between Brian Myers and the excellent Josh Alexander. Tenille Dashwood comes out next to her entrance music. That's the best entrance music on the show so far that was made recently. Most of the other tunes that were made recently suck. She's going one-on-one with Rosemary and accompanied by her dork manager guy. Now, I've repeatedly referred to this guy as a dork on these reviews, but let me just take this opportunity to say that this guy is good at playing a character that's a dork, unlike Tony Khan, who is just a dork, who's not good at playing the character of a dork, and instead is just a dork, who speaks awkwardly like a dork. This Knockouts match is better than the last 2 I've reviewed thanks to Tenille Dashwood's personality, largely. The dork sprays Rosemary in the eyes with hairspray. That doesn't work to secure the victory. Crazy Steve then runs out to neutralise the dork and reunite the Decay with Rosemary, and Rosemary gets the win by giving Tenille Dashwood a taste of her own hairspray and a spear. In a rematch from last week's 3-minute challenge, Matthew Palmer goes one-on-one with Moose. Matthew Palmer starts up with some charging dropkicks in the corner, but soon succumbs and takes a couple of big bumps for Moose. Moose taunts him, Matthew Palmer's able to get a whatever thing to the throat, and then he fights back with a couple of knees, the latter of which misses. Moose shuts him down with a couple of uranagis, then beats him before the referee stops the match. Despite the missed knee, which could have easily been edited out, it was a good match. Main event sees Karl Anderson taking on Rich Swann. The Goons are watching in the Mega Bus, and the City Machine Guns are watching in their locker room, and Shelley's playing with his hair. Rich Swann does a cartwheel and a tilt-whirl head scissors to get a clap from Alex Shelley. Rich Swann stays in control in the early goings. He hits an arm drag and then holds onto it for an arm bar. Anderson shoots him off to escape but then gets put back in it. Anderson gets Swann in the corner to get a break and then takes a cheap shot with a punch. Karl Anderson starts working on Rich Swann's arm also as he keeps the beatdown going. He bashes Rich Swann's head into the turnbuckle, then shoots him in. Rich Swann attempts an up and over, but Karl Anderson's wise to it and throws him into the corner post, shoulder first, causing Shelley to wipe down his face. Anderson applies a key lock, Swann's able to fight to his feet, and the two men both hit each other with a clothesline. The two men have a lengthy striking exchange before Rich Swann's able to intercept a clothesline with a neck breaker. He follows that up with a sort of jump over back foot stomp. Karl fights back with a claymore kick but only gets a 2 count. He then attempts something but gets rolled up with a schoolboy, so Rich Swann gets the victory, heading into Hard to Kill. The show then ends with a big brawl in the Guns locker room where Alex Shelley grabs Karl Anderson right by the balls. And the two teams keep brawling as the show goes off the air. So that concludes this week's Impact Wrestling. What the hell? How is that? It was a good show, not as good as other episodes, but it was the go-home show to Hard to Kill, so it made sense that it didn't do a 5-star main event match. It did its purpose. It promoted the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And overall, Impact Wrestling is much better when they just let their matches roll and don't try and do wedding ceremonies that end with a shooting, or action movie scenes complete with music. So, Brother Peace in the Mirror agrees with me. Marky, what are your thoughts on the show? Very well said. Don't forget to give the video a like, sub to the channel, and if you haven't had too much to drink, leave a comment. Heck, if you have had too much to drink, leave a comment also. And if you don't, I'll drop kick you into next week. I take that back. What I should have said was, if you don't, I'll grab you by the bollocks.